Okay guys, so I'm going to be doing a comparison video today. So don't worry about the sizes, it's more about just comparing the aesthetics, the look and feel of the TV, as well as, what ports you're getting, the feet configurations, as well as, do you get more bang for the buck when it comes to like installed apps and stuff. And then of course, the big question mark is, what does the screen quality look like, 4K content, when you have 4K content on your TV. So this one over here is a 2021 AU8000 from Samsung, and this is Samsung's older model, the TU8000. Now this is a 2021 model, I believe this is the 2020 model. Now theoretically, and from what I've read, there shouldn't be much of a difference between these two TVs when it comes to the actual 4K quality, but we're going to put that to the test. I have noticed some noticeable differences as far as like physical attributes are concerned. So that being said, let's dig into the comparison between the Samsung AU8000, right, 2021 model, and the older brother here, the TU8000, which came out, I believe, last year. Cool. So let's get to work. Now, the first thing I noticed on these TVs is that the location of the Samsung logo, and there's like a physical switch underneath here. Like if you don't have your remote, there's a switch under here that you can use to turn it on and off the TV, and there's a sensor here as well for the remote control. On the AU8000, it's all the way to the right here, right? On the TU8000, it's in the middle, right? So I'm not sure why they decided to shift it to the far right. But to me, it didn't make a difference. Actually, I do know of one use case where putting it to the right here is really, really important. And that is if you have like a surround sound system where you have a central facing speaker. The low profile ones, they usually will go right here underneath the TV or above the TV. A lot of people like to keep their speaker system right here. So with obviously having this right here with the sensors underneath it, if you have the speaker in its way, the remote's not going to work. So that's a problem, right? So I believe, that's my theory, that's why they've actually shifted the sensor for the remote control and the physical switch and the logo and everything to the far right. That way you can put, a speaker or whatever, or sound bar, right, or anything in front of the TV. All right, so that's one difference. Another thing I see immediately here is the feet are different on both of these. Now, both of them don't require screwdrivers or screws to install them. I'll quickly go into more detail and show you how. But the feet on these are both installed differently and they look different, right? As you can see, these feet actually space out like that. They stick out like that. These ones are just flat fitting and they're just parallel, as you can see, right? How they're installed, let's look at that a bit closely. So in the AU8000, the feet are actually attached to the backs of the TV, and they don't require tools. You just pull them to take it off because they just slide into these grooves here in the back, right? And another thing to note as well, and we're going to see on the other TV, there's no left or right, right? These feet can go on either end. It doesn't matter because they are just straight, right? And as you can see, this go right into that groove. So when it comes out of the box, this clip is actually down like that. Not sure why, but I'm guessing this is the locking mechanism. So when you install it, you just have to pull it out of its groove, turn it around by 180 degrees like that, and then you just slide it into the groove like that till it fits in place, right? And as I said, they are interchangeable. There's no left and right, so I can pull this one out, for example, and I can pull this one out, and I can just switch them. And it's all good. Now looking at the ports on the AU8000, at the top here we have our USB port. Well, two USB ports. We have our LAN port here. We have our HDMI 2 port, which also doubles as an eARC port, and we have an HDMI 1 port. And then there's a third HDMI port here, right? So two ports on the side for HDMI, one here at the back, and then the optical port for your sound. Your surround sound system is at the back as well. And at the bottom here we have our antenna antenna input port for coax. And then on the back here, on the right, well, this side of the television at the back, we have our AC in, right, for your AC connection. The AU8000 also has the VESA slots, or the VESA screw holes, so you can actually wall mount this TV. And you remember I showed you that the sensor was on the far right hand side of the TV with the switch. So here's the switch and the sensor from the bottom view, so you can see it right there. Now, one other thing to note about this TV as well is that these two here are, sorry, right here and here, those are your two 10-watt speakers, right? So they all face the bottom as well. Now we're going to look at the TU8000, and I can tell you straight off the bat that the TU8000 also does have these two 10-watt speakers, 2 times 10-watt speakers facing the bottom as well. And this, which is the sensor and the switch, is in the middle. So there shouldn't be any surprises there. Here we have our trusty TU8000, older model. So let's look at the feet. So as you can see, the feet are completely different. Different design altogether. They have these like, you know, spanned feet that stick out, right? And install them, again, you don't need tools, but instead of, you know, having them installed like on the back of the television, like on the AU8000, these go right up inside the middle, right? Like that, so it goes right up inside the TV. Now, obviously, that has an impact on the thickness, because one of the things I forgot to mention, and I'll talk about it a bit later, is that the AU8000 is way slimmer than the TU8000. I think that's part in fact of the design of the feet, right? Because you need to have all this clearance just to have these fit inside, right? So I guess what they've done, now they've, you know, on the other TV, because they install the feet on the outside, this can be slimmer, right? Which has a much better static effect, especially if you're wall mounting these TVs. But one other thing to note too, as with the other TV, where the legs weren't labeled left and right, you can put them in either hole. These actually do have a designation. So this has an L on it for the left side, and this one over here has an R that matches with that R to slide in there, right? So that's the feet. Now the port configuration on this TU8000 is a little different to the newer model. There's two USB ports on here, just like on the AU8000. There's also 3 HDMI ports, 1, 2, and 3, where HDMI 2 also doubles as an ERC port, just like on the other TV. There is the antenna in port for coax, which is on the other TV as well. And there's also the digital audio optical port for connecting to your surround sound system, which is on the other TV as well. Now there's also, but the LAN port that's on the AU8000, it's on the side here. On the TU8000 is at the back of the TV. Now I would prefer to have had this port. I don't use it, but if you had to use it, it would make more sense to put it on the side of the TV, because if you're going to wall mount this thing, you don't want to have cables coming out and protruding against that on the wall, right? You want this to be flat on the wall. You know, this wouldn't be, none of these ports would actually make sense if you want to have it wall mounted, right? So one big difference that the TU8000 has over the AU8000 is the fact that it has these AV-in ports here as well. And you usually find these types of ports on older devices. Like, you know, people still use VCRs, surprisingly. And there's also some other multimedia players where you may need to have these ports used. This TV does accommodate that, but the newer AU8000, they've removed those ports, and I'm not surprised. And that's not a surprise, because I'm guessing, you know, more and more people don't really use these anymore. But if you do have older technology that you may want to hook up to this, you know, the TU8000 would be your best bet because of those ports. And just like on the other TV, the AV, the power cable port is on this side here, but it faces outwards that way, right? So if you have like a cable sticking into this thing, it's going to stick out, and if you're going to wall mount this thing, could be an issue, right? On the AU8000, it's actually in the side, just like how these are. It's actually side installed, so the cable actually won't really push out against the wall, if you know what I mean, right? So that's comparing the ports from both TVs. Now we're looking at the bottom of our TU8000. So here we have our two 10-watt speakers, which are here at the bottom, and we have in the middle, as opposed to the side on the other TV, the sensor and the physical on-off switch button. And I do agree with the newer model putting this on the side, because I do have a surround sound system where I do have a front central facing speaker that I put like in front of the TV, and I can't do that with this because it blocks the sensor for the remote control. So that's why they did that on the made that change on the AU8000. And of course the TU8000 also has the capability to be wall mounted, because it has the VESA mount positions here, just like on the other TV. Now looking at the backs of both of these TVs, they both have that similar, I guess, plasticky, rough, horizontal kind of design finish on them, right? Where it's smooth when you rub it from left to right, but it's rough when you rub it from top to bottom on both TVs. Actually, this feels a little smoother than this one. So that's that. But there's also another thing. Both TVs do come with these cable management clips that usually clip on the feet. So on the TU8000, you clip them on the feet here, right? And you can then have the cables go through them. And on the AU8000, you just put the clips there, right? And they manage all the cables that come from the back of the TV to the back, right? So, I mean, it's a really novel idea, because as opposed to having cables just dropping down like that, where you can see them from when you're watching your TV, they look unsightly. These clips do come in handy, and they do come with both models. And there's one other thing I noticed as well too, and that the TU8000 comes with these grooves, right, which all are actual cable raceways. So you can actually push cables in there and have cables go along these, right, and then go through your cable management. But in the newer model, they don't have that. So I'm guessing maybe feedback from consumers that this doesn't really use much, right? These clips are adequate, but that's it really for what when it comes to comparing the backs of these TVs. Those are the major differences. So as I mentioned earlier, when we were looking at the feet, because the feet are installed on the back of the AU8000, the AU8000 can be slimmer. It's a slimmer TV, right? It's a much slimmer TV because the feet are on the outside. The TU8000, as you can see, it's much thicker, right? It's a much thicker TV, yeah. So that's I think one of the first things I noticed when I took this new one out of the box was, oh wow, it's way slimmer. One thing to note though, although this one is a 43-inch, this is a 50-inch, I didn't really notice a big difference in weight. So what that means is, I'm sure that the 50-inch version of this, there wouldn't be much of a difference in the weight. So that's something to mention as well. So they're both relatively light TVs. Okay guys, so before we turn these TVs on, I just wanted to compare the remotes here. So like off the top, all the buttons are the same layout, nothing new. So you have your hot buttons at the bottom, Netflix, Prime Video, and your Samsung TV Plus on both. Both have the volume and the channel changer rocker keys. The only difference is that these ones were black, these were I guess silver in color. And again, this is the AU8000 remote. This is the TU1000 remote on the right. We have our back button, home, and then our media player buttons. Same thing here as well. Same circular directional pad circular buttons here. And then, so these two buttons are a little different. What they've done here on the TU8000, we have the multicolor key and also the numeric keypad key all on one button. But what they've done is split them out, and you just have the numeric key on the left and the color button on the right. Now the color button, those multiple colors, when you're on a function on the TV, there may be some other additional sub functions that are related to the main function, and they're color coded, so you can just access them by just pressing this multicolor key, right? Finally, on the TU8000, you must be asking yourself, well, what does this button do then? That just turns on and off the ambient mode, right? Now, both TVs do have ambient mode, right? I guess you can just access it by just using your directional keys within the AU8000, but on the TU8000, they decided to have that as a key on its own. So apart from that, we both of them have the microphone holes at the top and then the power buttons in. So that's it. They pretty much are the same. It did just from a, I guess, ergonomics perspective, they made this straight chocolate bar form factor for the newer AU8000 remote, as opposed to the more curved and fatter design for the TU8000. And then small details. I mean, the buttons on here for the volume and the channel changer are silver. These ones are black, and the Samsung logo is darker on this one, and on the older TU8000 it's a more light gray color. Now we finally get to turn these TVs on and really see what the actual screen quality looks like. One quick thing to note, both TVs do support that tap feature where you can actually use your smartphone to quickly sync multimedia onto the screen by just tapping on the side. So both TVs do support that. You just have to have SmartThings installed on your smartphone. Version 5.1 is the minimum version, and you have to have your Samsung phone running at least Android 8.1. But it's quick and easy to set up. I do have, within each of these separate reviews that I've done on these TVs, instructions on how to set that up, so you can go check those out. And if you, my website, check the links there, you can find them in there, and I usually have links below these videos as well where you can see other similar videos, so you can find them there. But looking at the bezels, so both TVs do have very slim bezels along the sides and along the top. So I don't really notice a difference there. Along the bottom, both the bezels are a little fatter than the ones that are on the side, obviously, just to support the the Samsung logo and the sensors and stuff like that. So I figured it might be a little bit thicker. But looking at both TVs again, don't worry about the size. That's a 43 inch, this is a 50 inch. I just have them on the internet page right now. I don't really see a difference in screen quality when it comes to using these TVs as 4K computer monitors. They're both very, very good for those use cases as well. So what I want to do is just look at the menus, because I want to see if there are any new features on this newer AU8000 model. So along both of them do have the pre-installed apps along the bottom, and I don't see anything new or different. Samsung TV Plus, Netflix, Prime, Disney Plus, YouTube, and the Apple TV are there. TV Kids is there. Samsung Health, Internet, Google Voice Assistant, and Alexa is there. So all the pre-installed apps are the same. One small difference I noticed that and that's nothing big. The YouTube and the Apple TV are just to change. No biggie there. And then let's go across here. You can see free workout classes on demand. Samsung Health, both of them have that. Now the ambient mode, you can see that you have this ambient mode on the TU8000. I mean, we talked about the key on here, right? I don't notice that on the AU8000, so I don't know if that's automatic, right? It's an automatic feature now, and it's not something that you can manually play with. So that's one thing I noticed that's different. And just a quick thing about ambient mode, you just experience beautiful designs. And if I just quickly go into that on here, see, it will explain ambient mode a bit more just in case you're not familiar with it. It takes a while. So you can display your photos and turn your living room into a personal gallery. So you can create your own, display your personal photos, blend your screen into your living space as well. So that's all part of ambient mode. So it's interesting, I don't see that on the AU8000. I'm sure the mode is there because I've seen when I first set this up, talking about ambient mode. So I'm guessing it may be something that's automated as far as like the, get out of here. Anyway, so let's go back here. Then we have apps. Settings is here. And apps. So let's just go to apps on both of these TVs. Now, this is all default settings, so I haven't done anything, I haven't customized anything. This is what you get out of the box when you set it up.
Why do I do this thing.
Turn the volume down here. Alright. I love streaming services, eh? It's the best. And yeah, I gotta watch that movie. Definitely gotta watch that back. Black Widow, oh, the best. Anyway, let's not sidetrack here. So I actually did install Amazon Alexa on this one, but as you can see, editor's choice is pretty much the same. You just have, you know, all the editor's choice stuff here on both TVs. They may be a little different, but generally speaking, there's no difference between the two. I'm seeing pretty much all the same apps, maybe in a different, some may be different, but again, it's editor's choice. You can modify this. Key message here is that there's an editor's choice on both TVs, right? That's important. Let's go to the top here. So when you on both of these on the apps, along the top here, you can sign in, you can do an app search, and then there's a settings page for both of them. So let's get back out. Do you want to exit? Yes, I want to exit. See, let's go here. So I'm going to go to the home on both of these. And I'm going to go up. So both of them have access to the Samsung account, notifications, and privacy choices. That hasn't changed. And then if we go across here to apps. Alright, so I have a recommended Apple Music on this one, recommended Spotify. You know, both of them have a recommended apps feature, and that was the editor's choice. So that's where we were just now. So we get out of there. Yeah, what I want to show you next. Let's see, next. Exit, yes. Let us go to. Yes. So the source. So before we go to settings, so source. You have the same sources where you can see, you know, the remote hubs and, you know, any other, anything that's hooked into the TV, you would see up on these, in this list. So if you have a PlayStation, if you have an Xbox, you can see them all connected here, and you can just access them by going to the source, and you can go, right? Other than that, if you go across here, we have connection guide, remote key guide, connection guide, remote access. So they call it remote access on the TU8000. And both have the universal remote feature. So there is a remote key guide. They call it remote key guide on this TV. See what that's all about. And we have something called remote access on the TU8000. So it's a little different. So this is the remote access secured by Knox, where you can access to remote remote PC and your work resources with this function. So that's okay. Remote PC, screen sharing, Samsung DeX, Office 365, and you can add cloud services as well. And on this one, it just talks about the smart control, using your smart control buttons to access useful features. It's interesting. Let's see. Let me get out of here. And let's see, is there remote access for this one as well? Interesting, I don't see that feature on the AU8000, which is interesting, so that's missing. So that's important to note, no remote access feature. Maybe it's hidden somewhere else, but I don't see it there. Anyway, let's go to settings. That's the last one I want to go through. So both of them have e-manual, which is good, because I find e-manual is very, very good when it comes to if you're troubleshooting issues. You don't want to be going through paper or going on the net and Googling stuff. Everything is right on your screen. So there's a lot of great stuff here to troubleshoot issues, right? There's a guide, there's troubleshooting, first time use, accessibility guidance, and an FAQ section, so that's great. Let's exit the e-manual on both of these. Now, let's see what else is here. Let's go back to settings on both of these TVs. Let me go right into the top here. So, we have picture, we have sound features you can play with, broadcasting, both have general. The order of stuff is a little different on both of these for general, like you have voice at the top here, you have accessibility at the top here. But when I'm going through here, I think there's pretty much the same things, they're just jumbled around. So Apple AirPlay settings, Eco Solution, is there. Apple AirPlay sound is there. I don't see eco solution, but this has an eco solution, so that's another thing that's different. External device managers on this one, they have one as well. So that's the only difference, I think. The Apple AirPlay, not Apple AirPlay, but the eco solution. Oh, again, this is to do with the ambient light detector and power saving mode and all that. Again, that's on the TU8000. I don't see that on here. And you know why? It is here, but it's under power and energy saving. And it's a little different, but you know. So there's one or two small differences between both TVs. Nothing major. Just the way they've outlined their menus, they're a little different. Both have the support page and there's a terms and privacy policy. So all in all, there's no major massive difference between both TVs as far as, you know, what additional apps are there. Because, you know what, one good thing about all these TVs, no matter, you know, where you know, what model you have, especially these modern 4K TVs from Samsung, you can always go to the apps section right here. And it's in here where you can actually, you know, upload your own apps that you like, and you can customize that that ribbon of apps along the bottom by just installing and replacing out apps by just going to these different app stores here. So there's genre, there's, you know, music and radio, apps to kill time. There's a ton of apps that you can use to upload, and then you can, you know, upload and then customize this menu here that you see on your TV, right? So when it comes to the apps and, you know, navigating and all that, they all come with all the good voice services. Amazon Alexa, Google Voice Assistant. You have access to all of your favorite apps. The navigation is the same. So there's no major difference between the two TVs. Now, the last thing we're going to check out is the actual 4K picture quality. Now, studying the specs, same crystal 4K processor, so there should be no difference between the two. So let's try it out now. So I hope you enjoyed that comparison review between the Samsung AU8000 and the Samsung TU8000. At the end of the day, I mean, there was pretty much a negligible difference between, you know, when you go on and when you look at the different apps and stuff like that. Pretty much everything is pretty much the same. There's a small change here and there, but nothing major. And then as far as the actual picture quality is concerned, when you saw that 4K demo, as well as the gaming, there's pretty much no difference, right? You know, 4K, you know, 120 megahertz refresh rate, 4K for crystal processor, all the same stuff. It's from an aesthetics purpose. I mean, this is a slimmer TV, and you know, this one has those AV ports on it, right? The red, yellow, and white ones for the older devices. But apart from that, they both come with 3 HDMI ports, an RJ45 port for your local LAN. Of course, you have your coax for your cable TV, and there's two USB ports for power and for multimedia and whatnot. But of course, there's the optical audio output port for your, you know, surround sound systems. So they all come with that. And then, yeah, the feet are a little different. You know, these feet are attached to the back of the TV, ensuring that the TV is slimmer. These ones, the feet actually go up into the TV, and, you know, as a result, the TV is a bit fatter. From a weight perspective, I know these are 2 different size TVs, but I didn't really notice a big difference in weight. So I'm figuring that the 50-inch version of this, comparable to this 50-inch, I'm sure there's not much of a difference in weight either. So other than that, if you're thinking, you know, which one should I get? You can get either one. If anything, just look at the price point. This one might be a tad more expensive because it's a 2021 model. But, you know, if they still have these TU8000s out there, they may be a little bit cheaper if you look around. Anyway, other than that, if you're interested in either of these TVs, I do have links below where you can get these TVs online, Amazon, wherever. Just check out the link below, and I will send you to those sites. And feel free to check out my website too, because I have blogs on these TVs as well as other TVs and other gadgets and gizmos, right? Hence the name of the channel. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, thank you very much. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, and feel free to leave some comments below. I'm just dying to hear what other stuff you want me to review, and just let me know what you think of these 2 TVs and what your preference is. So anyway, guys, until next time, stay safe and happy gaming. Bye-bye. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Now, if you liked this video and you liked it, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And if you subscribe to my channel, I'm appreciative of that as well, so thank you very much. So listen, there's going to be a lot more content coming out this year and beyond. I plan to be doing quite a few different types of reviews, and I'm also starting to do giveaways now, finally. So that being said, happy gaming and stay safe. Bye-bye.